Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm in coaching center. Today I'm going to explain your 10th standard science chapter 16 sustainability management of natural resources. So last video I explained about 5 words that are reuse, refuse, reduce, recycle and repurpose. And as well as I said about the coliform, that is a the coliform, the pollution of water I said. So why we should we have need to protect we have need to save, we have need to manage our natural resources. Why we should do natural resources? So as you all know, as you all know, food, vehicles, factories, whatever and etc things are made by natural resources. As you all know, natural resources, and leaving that the energy, electric, solar energy or any energy is given by sun, and it is also used by human beings. It is also used by us human beings. We should use our natural resources limitedly, because there is limited amount of natural resources like petroleum, diesel, that are limited. You will not get more and more. If you get means you have to wait for thousands of years. Limited amount of natural resources there are, and as well as there is growing population in whole world. There is growing population in whole world. Population in whole world is growing in whole world. As well as there are, we have to protect the natural resources, protect the natural resources for long term, so that it can be used by future generation. Future generations to you, it can be used by them. We have to protect it for long term. That we have to keep in our mind. We have to keep in our mind is while exploiting these natural resources, it causes harm to nature. That also should keep in our mind. So sustainable natural resources is a good idea. Is a good idea. We can plan to save our natural resources. Present today, sustainable of natural resources and protecting of natural resources depend on culture and tradition of natural conservation in our country. How we conserve the natural resources, it depends on that. Our ancient period, there is more examples to how to protect or conserve natural resources. There is more ideas in our ancient periods. Vedic period agriculture was dominant 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 economic activity in our Vedic period. To conserve forest, variety of forest practice were made. They were conserving the forest during Vedic period. So in their culture and tradition, and traditions, they were teaching teaching to to conserve forest in their culture and tradition. To conserve forest, they were teaching. So forest and wildlife. So forest is a biodiversity biodiversity hotspot. There are different types of bacteria, fungi, flowers, animals are there are in forest. It is important to protect this ecological to this biological diversity means these animals and these fungi, flowers, animals, because scientists has said that if there is destroy of biological diversity, if there is destroy, then ecological diversity means the other animals and human beings all will die if they are not there. Stakeholders. Next topic is stakeholders. So we use forest materials to make different types of products and things, as you know. But to conserve the forest, we have to use the stakeholders they are there are four types of stakeholders. One is people. The people living in forests are dependent on forest things in their daily life. As they are living in forest, they are dependent on forest things. Forest department of the government which owns the land and the forest. They own the land and the forests. The next is the industries. They are dependent on forest to make paper. They are dependent. The wildlife and natural loving people who want to conserve forest as well as forest. People are loving the forest and they want to protect the forest. So this is the photo. This is the photo of the people. This is the last point. The wildlife and natural living people who want to conserve the forest. What these four depending on forest people stakeholders they need. So the people living in the forest are dependent on the forest things. So they need fire stocks. fire stalks, wood from the forest, from wood from the forest, wood from the forest. They need bamboo sticks. They need bamboo sticks to make hut. They need to store food. The people living in forest store food, and they need to do agriculture. Agriculture, and these are the things they are doing. Are doing They are doing fishing and hunting. They are doing fishing and hunting in the forest. And they they get fruits and nuts from the forest. All these the people get from the forest. The people living in the forest or near the forest. So is this right of using the forest? Is this right of using forest like this? So don't forget that the British has came and destroyed many forests and killed many people living from centuries in the forest so the people living from centuries in the forest, British killed them. Don't forget that. And they made sustainable use of forest. They said to sustainable use of forest, only use of forest, and people were using less things from forest because of the British said so. The forest department took the rules and control from British. The forest department took the control from British, but the local needs continued after that, and management of forest was stopped. Management of forests were stopped, and they started to grow plants. Afterwards also they started to grow plants and trees, but they need huge place for growing trees. So they destroyed biodiversity. Some plants biodiversity they destroyed, and they used the plants and trees for medicine and many other purposes. They also used it. A huge number of raw material for industries. Industries go from forest only. It goes from forest only. A huge number of raw material for industries goes from forest only. These industries are rich from people. Industries are rich than people. But they are not. But they are rich, but they are not interested in sustainability of natural resources. Sustainability of natural resources. They are not interested on this. The wildlife who need the forest, wild animals will only conserve their forest. Wildlife animals will conserve their forests. People also working, local people also working to conserve forest, working for conservation of forest for future generations. So the case of Bishnois living in Rajasthan, near Thar Desert. They are conserving the forests for wildlife animals. They are conserving these peoples. The government have given them an award. Government have gave them a award, and afterwards the Kejri, a tree called Kejri tree, was a tree that is in 1 minute. Kejri tree of village Kejri village was protected by the people. The people of that village protected by the people. The trees were protected by the people. Management of forest cannot only be done by the cannot only be done by local peoples. The local peoples only cannot done. They cannot do always. They cannot be done because there are many forests in India, and they are using the using it in industries and cutting it to make dam. Of this, the forest resources should be used in a manner that it may be environmental friendly and development friendly. Means we can also develop our country, and it would also be environmentally developed. If we want to say, when environment is preserved, it complete treat go to local people, like that only. We should do economic growth, environment growth and development, environment growth and countries development slowly or hand by hand. So slowly. We should not use the natural resources more for our use. We should not use the natural resources more. We should use natural resources in limited quantity. In limited quantities, we should use it. Management. Next topic is management of forest resources should be made available for industries, and for this they have did many movements to stop the cutting of forest. Chipko Andolan was done. Chipko Andolan was done by people to stop cutting of forest. This is the photo of Chipko Andolan. So the women, they hugged the tree and they stopped the people cutting the tree. So this was the Chipko movement. The contractor who wanted to cut the trees, tall trees, gone there with his workers. There he saw people. People hugged the trees, and they were fighting against them. So they saw, the contractor saw this, and this movement, the people hugged. This movement is Chipko movement or Chipko Andolan also you can say. Little bit it is impossible to control the forest resources use possible. So the people attacked on contractors they attack, and this movement spread to other parts of the country. It spread to other parts of the country. So by this the partition of by this we can say that the partition of the forest or the conservation of forest should be given to local people. By this we can know they will conserve it very correctly. So okay friends, here I will stop. I will continue the next topic in my next video. Till here you understand, I think so. So okay friends, like the video, comment on my video and subscribe my channel and coaching center for more video. I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care and have a nice day friends. Bye friends.